Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Purposeful Powerhouse Podcast. Last week, we were talking about self-doubt and shame as an interesting part of the identity evolution journey that is entrepreneurship. And so, true to form, I figured, why not continue on that journey to a little bit further down the track when you get to claim your role as an expert and an authority. And this is one of those interesting things, I guess, pretty much the stark opposite to self-doubt and questioning yourself and wondering, if you have what it takes or what you're even doing and all the questions that can come up, is that pivotal moment when you decide that you are, in fact, very gifted, very talented at what you do, and you are an expert in your field. And this is coming up because of a few reasons. One, a lot of the people in my community are further along in their entrepreneurial journey, mostly at least 5 years, some decades into it. And so they are experts. And two, because my coach and I were having a really interesting conversation, and she said, "You've been an entrepreneur for 19 years, Megan. Wow, you're an OG." And I thought, are you talking to me? Yes, Megan, she's talking to you. And it was an interesting thing, right? It's kind of one of those things. I don't know, for those of you that do, webinars or you lead master classes and you get to tell your story. And then every once in a while you realize, oopsie, I probably should get out the calculator because you say that you've been doing something for 10 years and you realize, yeah, 2005 wasn't 10 years ago. At the time of this recording, it's 2024. So yes, I have been doing this work for 19 years in different incarnations, different expressions. And so her question really led me to do a bit of an inquiry. And that's not really the word inquiry. No, I'm still not saying it right, but who cares? Moving forward, we make up words on this podcast. And really look at what are some lessons that I've learned in 19 years of entrepreneurship that have taken me to this ownership now that I am, in fact, an expert and I am, in fact, an authority in what I do and helping other entrepreneurs to truly enjoy the life that they have created for themselves, to boost the quality of life at the deepest possible level so that it's not always this unending marathon to the finish line, but it's actually pausing to take a look around and enjoy the fruits of your labor. And so, for me, of course, the work that I do as a personal trainer and a yoga instructor and a mental fitness coach has changed forms many different times. But really now leading the Rise and Vibe movement, which is helping other heart-led entrepreneurs to make time and space for themselves every day because they care about how they feel, and they know that the better they feel, the better they do. And the intentionality behind amplifying your morning routine is such a game changer and a fire starter in a sense for really setting yourself up for an incredible day. And so that's the work I get to do. And so for me, knowing that, this is truly my passion and I love this and I love movement and I love learning and I love holistic approaches to life. And so for me to know that this is my passion, but also my purpose, and that I get to share it with others and make an impact in the world and make a difference, as well as it being my profession, is such a beautiful gift. And I feel so, so fortunate. And having helped hundreds of students and clients over the years, I'm really reflecting on the growth that I have experienced as a person and the lessons that it has given me, so that I can offer those to you in the hopes that you might be able to reflect on those and take them as an opportunity to witness yourself in your journey, right? You may or may not know, I wrote a book, best-selling book called The Warrior's Journey, Ancient Wisdom for the Modern Entrepreneur. And that's really what this is about. It's a journey of evolution, the inner shifts that are required to see the outer results that you're looking for, and the outer results not really being the end goal. The inner shifts are the beautiful outcome and the ultimate gift that you get on this journey of life. And so what I wanted to drop into today are these things so that you can really start to recognize and hopefully see yourself in some of these, because regardless of how long you've been doing what you're doing, I know my community, I know the people that are drawn to me and that I attract into my world and that I love to support. You really are impact driven. You feel called to do what you do because it lights you up, because you know that it is an offering that the world needs. And so I want to share these with you because I think it's so, so important that you have these, because, you know, the earlier we get these lessons and these tools, the lighter and hopefully more fun your journey can be. So the first one that I would say is really, really important as far as really dropping into your expertise is be in community. Be in a supportive community that really sees you, that understands that entrepreneurship, especially online entrepreneur, service-based on the online work, it's a different animal, right? And we are a different breed of humans. I am not gonna lie. I am some kind of crazy over here, and it's okay. I'm okay with that because you're a visionary, right? And so you want to be surrounded by other people that understand what it means to have these big ideas and this insatiable desire to keep showing up and keep doing things. And, you know, maybe you feel like I do sometimes, it's delusional of wondering, is this, you know, is this happening? What am I doing? You know, and so that being in community is so, so, so important because you get people to see you and to be witnessed in your genius and your brilliance and to have that reflection and have the brainstorming and have that support and be held in that and the opportunity to give to others, but also be poured into because you need that, right? And that's somebody who is knowledgeable knows that that level of support is necessary because when you are giving to others, it's so, so important that you are receiving as well, right? I have a saying that I say that I learned from my yoga practice is that from the breath, we learn that in order for you to give out, you must first take in. And in order for you to serve at the level that you are being called to by your vision, by your goals, you must be taken care of as well. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but it needs to be said. So that's the first one. Be in a supportive and aligned community. The second one is the knowing that, as we talked about last week, and the whole episode last week was about self-doubt, doubt is going to happen. When we are stretching ourselves, the negative, judgy voices in your head are inevitably going to come up because that is the mechanism of self-protection. That is the wiring of the reptilian brain that is designed to keep you safe, not stretching yourself. Because the bigger your dreams are, the bigger your vision is, the more reactive your brain and your self-protective patterns might be. And so it's so, so important that you are aware of the way that that shows up and feels for you. And so again, last week, there's other episodes I've done about those patterns. And so just go back and explore last week's episode. So that's the second lesson that I think will really support you in your journey. And so the third one is, if you are a woman or you identify as a woman, and if you don't, you can just, keep this in mind for the women that you know in your life. As a woman, you are different week to week. Hormonally, biologically, we go through changes throughout the course of the month. And so men go through that over the course of the day. And of course, we do as well in our circadian rhythms. But the menstrual rhythms and cycles really affect you at a very deep level. And so that means that there's weeks when you are going to be vivacious and vibrant when you're ovulating, right? Because that's the biology that, the universe wanted to make you all attractive and effervescent, right? And so, of course, to attract a mate, et cetera, et cetera. That's not what we're talking about here. But when you are in delivery of what you're doing in your service, not delivering the baby, but, in delivery of your services, maybe you're leading a workshop, et cetera, there's a vibrancy and a magnetism that happens in the week of ovulation. And then, so I'm not going to go deep into cycle syncing. There's another episode about that my friend Renee and I did, and she goes way deep into it. So you can listen to that one, but just keep in mind that there's going to be certain times when you are prone to want to do certain things. Like, for example, the week before your period, you may find that you get into that questioning mode and you kind of want to do a runner and want to get the hell out of here and you want to blow it all up and you don't know what you want to do. So that is a time to consider. So that's time when we feel a lot of emotionality is maybe a great time to create content, right? And so that's just looking at the cycles and looking at the tendencies of those certain times. That's really, really important to know. And you're using that to your advantage. So again, Renee did an episode on that, but just to keep that in mind, right? In order to truly become an authority on yourself and in your space, it's so important that you know yourself, right? So that is number 3. And then number 4 is your mind is doing its best, but oftentimes, as we talked about earlier, those self-sabotaging patterns, your mind can be a little bit of a liar, right? It's really important that you become aware of its tendency to be hypercritical. I find in our community, people are very driven, very high achieving, and that can be a bit of a double-edged sword because there's this insatiable desire for more. And if things aren't working, then we tend to look at ourselves. What am I doing wrong? What am I not doing? What do I have to fix? What do I have to change? Maybe I'm out of alignment. Maybe I need to do more morning routine, and looking at ourselves and turning it back on ourselves. And to a degree, self-reflection is important, but we want to make sure that it's not in the realm of that hypercritical voice that, again, is just trying to do its best, but it's not necessarily in the interest of your vision. And so becoming an expert, becoming the authority is really learning to use your mind and think on purpose, which, is one of the tenets of being a purposeful powerhouse, is learning to think your thoughts intentionally. And a lot of times people speak into that as affirmations, for sure. But in the Rise and Vibe movement, we use power statements. So power statements are ones that you receive from your vision, from the goals that you have, from the version that you live into in your vision that is essential for you to become, to make that your reality. So we get these power statements, these really encouraging, inspirational, or supportive and soft, whatever they are. And we use those statements to really fully activate that quality within yourself in your Rise and Vibe sessions, so that you're embodying that. You're using those sessions to amplify your morning routine, to fully allow that energy to get expressed within you, because that is your essence. That's how you're showing up for yourself in that moment, so that becomes how you show up that day. So it's so much more than exercise and yoga and movement. And yes, it is that for sure. But it really is at its core, the Rise and Vibe sessions are embodiment practices, because you're using these power statements to go so much deeper and add that level of intentionality to things. Okay, so that is number 4, is learning to really use your mind and anchor into those clear intentions and elevated emotional states. And so we want to make sure that, you are moving forward from there, and have number 5 is a compelling vision, something that is so big that you want to see and feel and have in your life. And you don't have to have an explanation for why, but it's something that's so expansive and compelling and uplifting that it's really allowing you to get pulled forward. And of course, it's probably going to include your deeper why, because that's an element of it, is the impact that you want to make, what you want to live into, what you want to make possible for yourself. Those are all really important aspects of a compelling vision. And so we want to make sure that you have a vision that does feel very aligned for you, that you are, as an expert, really making your top priority and making that, the calling card for yourself, if you will, so that you are really fully anchored in that and living into it. Okay, so the next one is really important in truly owning this decision, is that it's on you to make this decision, that you are in fact an authority in your space, and claiming that, right? No one's going to come along. I waited for a long time, right? No one's going to come along and tap you on the head and say, and now you are an authority. It's a decision. It's a frequency shift that you lean into and that you live into. And it's really you, your vision, your goals, your energy, your mind. And so it really is learning to get your mind on board with the beautiful dreams that you have in your heart that are calling you forward, that you've really expanded into that vision, and the vibe of your vision that you want to embody on a regular basis. You're using your power statements, all of those things, so that you're really able to show up from this version of yourself, as this version of yourself, right? And so that's really it, is that it's on you to make this decision. And so following that is, it starts with you. It starts with you and your heart-led, service-providing, able to really share your gifts in such an impactful way. And in order for you to do that, in order for you to get to the finish line of your goals, you need you. You need your mind, you need your body, you need your spirit. But yet, in this hustle culture, goal-driven, push till you puke, sleep when you're dead, work till your eyeballs bleed narrative that we hear screamed from the rooftops sometimes, that probably doesn't feel aligned for you. But yet in the entrepreneur community, there is a really interesting sort of double-edged sword of that really driven, high-performing, high-achieving approach to things that aligns with the hustle culture. But if we're not careful, can also be our demise, and is really the fast track to burnout and overgiving. And so it's really important that we lead by example, and you start with yourself first. And that's why I'm such a huge advocate for morning routines, for power pauses, why the Rise and Vibe movement is so, so near and dear to my heart, because as entrepreneurs, we are change makers. And it's so important that you're able to continue doing what you're doing, because the world needs what you're doing the way that you do it so, so, so deeply. And you're the only one that can do that. You're the only one that can claim your gifts and share them in the unique way that you can. But in order for you to do that in a sustainable way, it does take that commitment to yourself and a commitment to using these body-based tools to support your holistic health and really make it the foundation, because otherwise it can become an afterthought. And so that's really, point number 7. And then point number 8 is pick one thing and go all in on it. And this took me a long time. I'm not going to lie. I tried everything, and as somebody who loves learning and loves yoga and loves exercise, I was all over the place. But if you just really want to save yourself time and tears, pick one thing that really feels good to you and go for it. Commit to it, right? Some people say you got to lean in and commit to it for at least a year, and that means doing the launch, offering the program, speaking to it in a million different ways, speaking to that one thing for at least a year to really test it out, to see if it is viable. That's a level of commitment, and that's a challenge for some of us. And so I would say, that challenge is there and that's calling you forward, but can you choose something that feels really aligned to your vision? It feels like, really makes use of your gifts. And so that you are staying in your lane and really having that point of focus rather than sort of being all over the place, which can really come across chaotic and scattered, and it's exhausting, and it's confusing. It's probably confusing to you. It's confusing to your audience. And so it's really important to pick one thing and really lean into it and go all in on it. And so I know you might be resisting, but just, hear me out. Do you want to become known for something? That's where you have to claim it. And that's an energetic shift. And there's an ownership that is required there, because again, nobody's going to do that for you. You are the one that gets to choose that. Okay. So number 9, really sitting into your authority and your expertise takes that commitment and the deep knowledge that it's not going to be a straight line to the top. And you already know this, but I think it's really important for us to hear is that failure is part of the journey. And in order for you to truly become an expert, you have to be willing to get up and try again. And that's something that, when we're first starting out, that can feel a little bit daunting and discouraging, but it's a willingness to test, right? I know you've heard all of those analogies about how many times it took to Edison to make the light bulb and the Wright brothers to get the plane off the ground. And if they had quit, who knows? I mean, maybe somebody would have created a light bulb and we still would have had airline travel eventually. But it's that willingness to pick one thing and go all in on it and really lean into your soul's calling and whatever that looks like for you in a way that truly lights you up. Because the one thing, is, of course, again, there are people that really, hit it on the first go, but success is on the path to success. There are going to be many mistakes. There's going to be many quote unquote failures. And so it's really that learning and the growth that comes from that and that perspective and that growth mindset, or, the willingness to look at it as a gift or an opportunity. Because as my coach, James Wedmore, says, success is a crappy teacher. We're always going to learn a lot more from things that don't go well than things that go spot off and just hit it. And so it's a curiosity and a willingness to see it as part of the path, right? And so it's that sort of up, down, roundabout, all the way around and backwards till you get to where you're going. And so again, it's that sense of dedication and a willingness to keep getting back up. And again, that really lends to what I said earlier of the resiliency that is innate with an entrepreneurs and a little slice of the cray because not many people are going to just keep getting back up and trying again when they get knocked down, but we do. And it's interesting, right? And I've thought about that because there's been many times when I've said, I think most people would have quit by now. And I just couldn't. There was something in my heart and my soul that wouldn't let me. And when I asked my wise higher self, it just whispered, try again. There's more here. There's more to learn. You've got more. You can do this. And so there's a calling in your heart for a reason, owning the gifts that you have, being willing to give yourself credit, being willing to witness yourself through the lens of that discerning, compassionate, curious self, not the critical mind, that will allow you to really expand in this way and really have that energetic ownership and essence and a vibe that is, yeah, that's it. This is it. I got this. I'm going to do this. And it's funny because, my partner Justin will tell you is that I get very triggered for some reason when people use that saying, you got this. I get very triggered by that. And I'm still not really sure why, because I know that a big part of recognition and ownership of your gifts is being willing to see it yourself and being willing to say that to yourself rather than waiting for the external validation and that external support. Although it is very important, it's very, very vital that you have your own back, in a sense, that you know that you are moving forward towards your goal, that you can do this, that there's a dedication and a commitment within you that you are headed towards. That taking rest is important in order for you to keep going, and it's not you giving up. It's essential for you to be able to have that sustainability and growth in your business. So all of those things, but knowing it at a deep level, knowing it at the level of the mind, and knowing it in the body, I think are two different things. And so it's really that ownership that you have to really claim. And then the last one I'll say is that as healers, as people that are really gifted, maybe in healing arts or things that are a little bit abstract, or even if they're not, even if you do something as straightforward as bookkeeping and or SEO support or website design, I would say that it's very important for you to get support on your messaging because the way that you do something is clear to you, but it may not be clear to others. And it's so important for you to have somebody who's really skilled in this to reflect it back to you so that it's an opportunity for you to see yourself and what you're doing in the world in a different way. And it gives you that depth that allows you to really take ownership of the offerings that you're putting out in the world. But just because you're great at what you do probably doesn't mean you're great at explaining it. Just gonna put my hand up because my coach Emily has really shed some light on this. And so I would say, when you can, get support in messaging. She's got some great resources, so I'll link her up in the show notes. But I would say that that's very important, especially for you out there that are heart-centered, purpose-driven, doing magical things. Speak in a way that's clear and not floofy. It's challenging sometimes. Okay. So that's, the last thing in order to really own it. And it gives you a beautiful opportunity for reflection of the depth and the magnitude of what you're doing rather than just dusting it off because it comes easy to you. And that's another interesting thing is that when you found something that is your calling and you're really great at it, and it feels so easy for you that you feel kind of weird about calling it work because for you, it's really like play. There may be a part of your mind that says you don't deserve to get paid really well for this because you're not really working hard at it. And that's nonsense. I almost said hogwash. It's nonsensical hogwash because the fact that you're gifted at it means you're even more deserving. But for those of us that are hardwired to the hard work is necessary to earn money story, it can take a little work around that, and definitely did for me. I mean, I have deep in my DNA, like Irish Catholic farmer work mentality. So it took a minute for me to recognize that you're showing up, it's your time, it's your energy, and you don't have to be blood, sweating and tearing into it, although you might at times, but you still really deserve to be paid for your time and your energy. And it's so important and it's necessary. And it's a reciprocal relationship and transfer behind what you're doing and how you're doing it and showing up. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. All the things that I've learned along this journey, and really give you some perspective, hopefully, on how you can really take these and open your eyes a little bit more and really sit into the gifts and the magic and the depth that you bring into the world, and really offer that to you. Because in order for you to claim your authority and claim your expertise, your expert status, it really does take that willingness to look at yourself from this lens and really own the work that you've done, the time that you've put in, the experience that you have, the gifts that you bring, the energy that you bring to the table, the embodiment of your offerings. Like, you are a product of your work. And so that's so important for you to really just take some time to reflect on that, because again, that gives you that fuel for the fire within you to keep going when things get difficult, to take rest when you need it, to really to stay the course. Because again, the world needs you and you are so amazing at what you do. It's just a really important decision. And as I mentioned, a frequency shift of when you sit into that and you really claim it. So I hope this was helpful. I can't wait to hear what really landed for you, and send me a DM. I'd love to hear that. And so again, thank you so much for learning to take control of your mind and use your mind like a powerful tool, and think on purpose, to move your body on purpose, to keep it strong and healthy, and show up for yourself, because you really care about how you feel, and you want to truly, deeply have the highest quality of life, because you deserve that. And you are accomplishing all of these incredible things. You've put in the time, you've put in the work, you've achieved these goals, you've created this beautiful life for yourself, but really savoring in it, steeping in it, and appreciating it, rather than just charging forward to the next thing. It's an intentional pause, because that's where your true power lies. That purposefulness is your true power. And so that's all I have for you today. Take good care, and I will see you very soon.